Hey love, I'm Gina, a fitness, nutrition, and self-love coach, helping high-achieving women heal their relationship with food and their bodies so they can finally feel free, strong, and confident in their own skin. If you've ever felt stuck in the cycle of restriction, binging, and body shame, trust me, you are not alone. On this podcast, we're calling out diet culture BS, building your dream body without the obsession, and getting real about what it actually means to love yourself in a world that constantly tells you not to. I've been there. Anorexia, binge eating, body hate, you name it, I've lived it. And now I help women just like you find food freedom, feel sexy in their skin, and take their damn power back. So get ready, because the Fit Without Obsession podcast starts now. Let's talk about the buzzword that gets thrown around all of the time in the fitness world: balance. Everyone preaches it, everyone posts about their balanced lifestyle, but if you have ever tried to live it and it just felt like another thing you're failing at, you were not crazy. Balance is supposed to feel freeing, but honestly, for most women I work with, it feels like this impossible standard. Eat clean during the week, have one cookie on the weekend without guilt, hit the gym 4 days, and still love your body. And if you can't, then the shame spiral starts. Today, I'm going to break down why balance doesn't actually work the way you've been taught and what to do instead to finally feel like you're living in freedom, not another cage with this prettier label. So I first want to go into why balance itself is broken. And really, when we are hearing about balance all the times or seeing it online, like seeing people post about it, balance is sold like a math equation. So this could look like 2 salads plus 1 pizza equals balance. You know, you might see online like just do 80-20, eat clean 80% of the time and have fun 20% of the time. But the problem with this is it keeps you stuck in food rules and numbers instead of freedom. Like it almost like makes you overanalyze. Like, again, it's almost in a sense similar to tracking, like, because you were trying to figure out, like, okay, am I doing the right percentage of balance? Am I doing the perfect amount of balance? And we try to try too hard through the balance. But really, balance isn't about splitting your week into good and bad. That's just restriction and high heels. Like, if you were approaching it that way, that's not how we should look at balance. Balance often becomes another diet in disguise. I know for me, I used to say, I'm not dieting, like I'm just being balanced, which in reality meant at the time, like I would only let myself eat carbs on the weekends. I know I wouldn't touch dessert unless I'd had a perfect week, and I still micromanaged every choice. So even though on the outside, that's what I was verbally calling it, internally, it really didn't feel any different than me doing a diet or me putting food rules on myself. And when I was in that stage, I would binge, I would end up overeating, I would end up spiraling hard because my version of balance was just a slower form of restriction. So if you still feel anxiety, guilt, or like you're breaking the rules when you eat, that is not balance. That is still control. And I'm not going to say that it's not better than having exact food rules or tracking meticulously 1,200 calories. You are still making improvements. So I do want you to give yourself that and give yourself some grace. But the way that you are approaching balance, if you are still feeling those negative feelings come up, it's not the way that we really can benefit from it. Balance does not account for real life. So vacations, stressful work weeks, maybe your period when all you want is chocolate, none of that fits neatly into some 50-50 equation, like I mentioned before. So what happens with this is if you decide you've fallen off, and you aren't balanced, you are back into that all or nothing spiral, because then you go, okay, well, I'm not being balanced, whatever, I might as well give in, and who cares? I already overate more than I wanted to, so today could just be a cheat day, and then I'll get back to being balanced tomorrow. But really the truth here is that life is not balanced. Life is gonna be messy. It's unpredictable. It's chaotic. That is the truth. As much as we fight it and we don't want it to be and we don't want change, it's true. And if your version of health only works when life is perfect and your routine is perfectly on and you aren't traveling and your sleep is great and you don't have any stress, and if we are only working with imbalance during that time, it's not actually working. So obviously now you're okay, well, can you tell me what works, Gina? Because I thought that I wasn't restricting and then I was trying to be balanced, and now I just feel even more confused. So I think one thing is really just the mindset that we have around this. Because again, balance is a word that I even still use, but I think we need to be careful with our word choice sometimes too. Like, so the first thing that we can do is trade that word balance for flexibility. Because balance, the way that I've been talking about it too, and the way that you're probably perceiving it online, like balance makes you ask, did I do enough good to earn this bad? But when we approach with flexibility, that flexibility asks, what do I need right now to feel nourished, strong, and free? So it's less of this like push and pull and like one decision like outweighs a different decision. Like flexibility is really coming into each decision with a fresh mind, really trying to take care of ourselves. So this could be, for example, you go out with your friends and you end up ordering pasta. So if you were following balance, like you would say, okay, now I need to make up for this tomorrow. But when you approach with flexibility, you go, okay, cool. I had pasta tonight. Tomorrow I'll eat what makes me feel good. Maybe it's going to be protein and veggies and carbs that fuel me, but you're not in that moment having guilt and you're not doing like math. So the next thing that really works too is build food freedom, not food formulas. So again, we really want to get out of that like ratio mindset of like a salad to the cookie. You really need to have a relationship where both fit naturally. And that's the key word here is like natural, right? Like we're not expecting that, again, it's going to be like you have exactly 10 cookies like per month and then like that's on point with your balance. Like no, we need to figure out a way where it flows seamlessly and like you feel energized and you feel good and you feel your best when including all these foods. Eating pizza on a Friday isn't balance if you're still overthinking it all weekend long. And I know this is hard to hear a lot of this. Like you might be like really questioning like, damn, like I thought I was doing so much better in my relationship with food and like really trying to include all foods. But again, it's not necessarily just about including all the foods. Like it's about how you feel about all the foods you're including. Now, the third thing that actually works is define your version of success. Really, honestly, what changed everything for me is realizing that balance was not universal. Like, we can talk about the word balance. Like, your balance does not look like my balance. Like, my version of freedom looks like lifting heavy about 4 times a week. Like, that's what feels good for me right now. Eating high protein meals and still splitting, like, some ice cream with my husband at the end of the week on the couch. But yours might look different than that. And that's the point. Like, balance is not about fitting into someone else's formula. It's about building something sustainable that feels like your life. Not like something else that you see on Instagram or like some like highlight reel you see like and you're trying to match. That's why like what I eat in a day videos can be like so problematic, right? Because like you are not that person. You need your own things, right? Your balance is going to look different. The next thing that actually works is anchoring in your values and not rules. For me, when I stopped asking, like, am I being balanced? I started asking myself, am I aligned with my values? Like, with this meal, with this action, with this thing that I'm doing in this current moment. And that's when everything shifted. So instead of, I need to eat clean 80% of the time, like that coming out of my mouth, I would actually sit and ask, like, am I fueling my body for strength? Am I enjoying food with the people that I love? Am I also taking care of my mental health? Like those are all really big values of my life. So like, am I aligning with those, with my actions, with my decisions? Values don't break. They flex with you. So decisions really need to come from a place of alignment and not guilt. Okay, so now that you get all that, like, how do we actually do it, right? Like, how do we actually have action steps to get us to a place where like balance can be a positive thing, right? Like, and not this negative thing that's still causing us anxiety. So step number 1 is catch where balance feels like another rule. I want you to sit, really question and ask yourself, like notice the guilt. Maybe it's the math that you're doing in your head or the food anxiety that's coming up for you. Like that is not balance. That is, again, diet culture in disguise for you. Now, once you have figured that out, step 2 is we need to swap those rigid rules for flexible anchors. So instead of you saying that you have to eat clean 80% of the time, try that you're going to aim for protein at most meals because it makes you feel strong. But also, like, you are going to be in a place when we have this flexible anchor that you're not going to panic if you have dinner that's just pasta and wine. Like, yeah, it's not really super high protein, right? Like, but guess what? Like, balance is about doing things most of the time. I also think that's too like a way that we can look at it of like, we don't have to put a percentage on it, but like that we're making sure we're aligning in a way that's going to make us feel good most of the time. Because again, the goal is to feel good, right? So like we shouldn't be like trying to like overcomplicate our food. Now, step number 3 is we need to also sit there and redefine progress. You need to stop measuring success by how perfectly balanced your meals are and really actually start measuring it by how much energy you have. Also, how confident you feel in the gym, how present you are at dinner without obsessing over calories. Like that's what matters more. I know that for me, like that's when I have really truly unlocked like this amazing life I have now and this great relationship with food and this great relationship with exercise is that I started to look outside of the kind of, I guess, aesthetic image that I had, but also I stopped trying to like make all these perfect decisions and really tune into like how the decisions were helping me feel. You don't need balance, you really need freedom. And again, like you can use the word balance. I don't think that that's like necessarily the worst thing in the world. I think that is something that is going to come up in conversation. But again, like when we see these quote unquote balanced lifestyles online, like that's not really what we should be like striving for. We should be striving for personal freedom within. And freedom isn't going to come from perfect ratios. It's going to come from trusting yourself. And that really starts like one choice at a time. Balance as you currently know it is broken. It's really not about that 80-20 or good versus bad. It's about flexibility and freedom and your values. You really don't need to just find that balance. What we really need to do is look underneath that and find, and what we need is that self-trust. If balance has ever made you feel like you're failing, you are not broken. Again, I want you to know that. Like, this is a very common thing. This is something I've gone through. This is something I've seen a lot of my clients go through. Really, the system is broken that you're trying to follow. You don't need that balance. You need that freedom, that flexibility, and that version of health that actually fits your life. That is where the magic is going to start happening. If you're ready to ditch that old definition of balance and finally find food freedom, like come hang with me over on Instagram at @thefitbean_. And let's chat about what freedom could look like for you. I would love to open up that conversation and just hear your takeaways from this episode so that I can help support you the most as possible on this journey of finding balance. Thank you so much for tuning into the Fit Without Obsession podcast. If this episode helped you heal, grow, or just feel a little less alone, go ahead and hit the follow button so that you never miss a moment of this journey. And if you loved it, share it on your stories and tag me at @thefitbean_. I seriously love seeing what resonates. Sharing this podcast helps more women step out of a session and into their power. And that ripple effect starts with you. And if you're ready for deeper support, check the show notes for ways that we can work together. Just remember, eat the pasta, wear the shorts, and love the hell out of your life. You deserve it always. Talk soon.